Norway, a natural wonder where for months the sun never sets. And when night finally arrives, the sky comes alive with breathtaking green, blue, and pink northern lights. A land where snow-covered mountains, majestic fjords, and crystal-clear lakes stretch as far as the eye can see. A place where you're more likely to spot reindeer than cars on the roads. A country where the king can be seen riding a bicycle through the streets without any security. Where education and healthcare are completely free. The nation that was among the first in the world to embrace electric vehicles. And where prisons are nothing short of five-star hotels, where inmates can leave prison in the morning to go to work or run a business, then return to prison in the evening to continue serving their sentence. It is said that Norwegians even bathe in icy water during temperatures as low as -40 degrees Celsius, believing that cold water bathing brings good luck. Here, children are taught how to survive in the wilderness before they learn math and science. The people of Norway are known for being incredibly happy and emotional. They live in just 2% of the country's land, while the remaining 98% is covered by snowy mountains, forests, and lakes. Yet despite this, Norway ranks among the richest countries in the world. Today, tourists from across the globe travel here to witness nature's incredible wonders. And today, we too are setting off on an unforgettable journey through this breathtaking country, often called heaven on earth. Norway, officially known as the Kingdom of Norway, is a remarkable and unique country located in the Scandinavian region of Northern Europe. It shares its eastern borders with Sweden, Finland, and Russia, while the vast waters of the North Atlantic Ocean stretch along its western coast. For thousands of years, this ocean has shaped Norway's identity, culture, and economy. Covering an area of nearly 385,000 square kilometers, Norway may be small in size, but while much of the world struggles with rising population and pollution, this country continues to preserve some of nature's greatest wonders. With a population of around 5.5 million, Norway is one of the least densely populated countries in Europe. Nearly 84% of its people live in cities, while the rest are spread across small towns, islands, and mountain villages. There are even vast regions where you can travel for hundreds of kilometers without seeing a single person. Perhaps that's why nature still feels more powerful than humans here. But Norway's true identity lies in its breathtaking landscape. Nearly 70% of the country is covered by mountains, glaciers, forests, and rugged rocky terrain. It is home to more than 50,000 islands, thousands of lakes, and a coastline stretching over 100,000 kilometers. Geographically, Norway extends into the Arctic Circle. That's why, in the northern parts of the country, the sun doesn't set for several months during summer, while in winter, it doesn't rise for weeks at a time. This is one of the few places on Earth where you can witness both the midnight sun and the magical northern lights, and we'll experience these incredible natural wonders later in the video. Now let's begin our journey through Norway from its capital city, Oslo. The first thing you'll notice as you step onto the streets of Oslo is the sense of peace. No blaring traffic, no constant honking, no crowds rushing from one place to another. It feels as if the entire city has stopped living in a hurry. Along the roads, people ride bicycles at a relaxed pace. Some are heading to work, some are taking their children to school, while others are simply out enjoying the crisp morning air. In Oslo, cycling isn't just a hobby, it's a part of everyday life. That's why the city has hundreds of kilometers of dedicated bike lanes, and bicycles are everywhere. As you move a little farther, something else catches your attention. Most of the vehicles on the roads are almost completely silent because a large number of them are electric vehicles. While much of the world was still thinking about electric cars, Norway had already made them a part of everyday life. Sometimes, standing at a traffic light, it feels as though you've stepped into the future. Oslo's waterfront is perhaps the most beautiful part of the city. The cafes along the shoreline begin filling with people early in the morning. Some are enjoying a cup of coffee while reading a book, others are chatting with friends, and some simply sit there watching the sparkling water. And the most interesting part is that no one seems to be in a hurry to leave. Perhaps that's because Norwegians know how to truly enjoy life, not just get through it. Then, standing before you is the Oslo Opera House. From a distance, it looks like a giant block of ice rising out of the sea. People casually walk across its rooftop, sit and relax, take photos, and admire the fjords stretching out before them. There are very few cities in the world where you can climb onto the roof of an opera house and enjoy such a spectacular view of the sea. But the most beautiful thing about Oslo isn't its architecture, it's its people. There's a remarkable sense of calm on almost every face. Perhaps that's because living in one of the happiest countries in the world isn't just about wealth, it's also about having time for yourself. But the story doesn't end here. Oslo may be beautiful, but the real Norway hasn't even begun yet. As soon as we leave the city behind, towering buildings give way to mountains. The roads disappear into endless forests. And that's where the journey truly begins. The journey that draws tourists from across the world to Norway, traveling thousands of kilometers just to experience it. Friends, if someone were to make a list of the world's most beautiful road trips, Norway would certainly be on it. Here, a journey isn't just a way to get from one place to another, it's an experience in itself. At times, the roads wind through snow-covered mountains, and at other times, they run alongside the deep blue sea. One of Norway's most famous roads is the Atlantic Ocean Road. Stretching for about 8 kilometers, this spectacular highway connects a series of small islands while passing directly over the ocean. Strong winds, crashing waves, and its beautifully curved bridges make it one of the most breathtaking drives in the world. During storms, the waves can become so powerful that they crash onto the road itself, reaching passing vehicles. It almost feels as if there's no boundary left between the road and the sea. But traveling through Norway isn't just about its roads. The country's geography is so dramatic that thousands of mountains, valleys, and fjords stand in the way. To overcome these natural barriers, Norway has created remarkable engineering marvels that leave visitors amazed. The country is home to more than 1,100 road tunnels. The most famous of them is the Lærdal Tunnel, which stretches for nearly 24.5 kilometers. It is considered the world's longest road tunnel. Just imagine driving through a mountain for almost 20 minutes with no sign of the exit in sight. And then come Norway's waterfalls. There are so many of them that during the journey you eventually lose count. Water plunges from thousands of feet above the mountains, disappearing into deep valleys below. Waterfalls like Veringsfossen, Langfoss, and the Seven Sisters are counted among the most beautiful waterfalls in the world. During the summer, when the glaciers begin to melt, these waterfalls become even more powerful and spectacular. But the most exciting part of traveling through Norway begins when the road suddenly comes to an end. That's because instead of another highway, there's a deep fjord or a branch of the sea standing in your way. At that point, people simply drive their cars onto a ferry. A few minutes later, the ferry drops them off on the other side. And after hours of traveling, we finally arrive at the place that has made Norway famous around the world, the fjords. If you've never seen a fjord before, it's not easy to describe it in words. Imagine thousands of years ago when massive glaciers slowly carved their way through the mountains until they reached the sea. Then, as the ice melted, seawater filled those deep valleys. And that's how the fjords were born. Long, narrow, and incredibly deep arms of the sea that stretch hundreds of kilometers inland between towering mountains. Norway is home to nearly 1,700 fjords, but some of them are so breathtaking that people travel from the other side of the world just to see them. Norway's most famous fjord is Fjord. Towering cliffs rising thousands of feet on both sides, deep blue water in the middle, and waterfalls cascading down those cliffs like shimmering silver ribbons. Standing here feels as if you've stepped into the world of a fantasy movie. Fjord's most iconic attraction is the Seven Sisters waterfall. 7 slender streams of water flow side by side down the mountainside, inspiring a local legend. According to the story, another waterfall on the opposite cliff once proposed marriage to the 7 sisters, but it never received an answer, and so it still stands there waiting to this day. Norway's second famous fjord is Fjord. In some places it becomes so narrow that only a small strip of sky is visible between the towering mountains on either side. That's one of the reasons why UNESCO has recognized it as a World Heritage Site. And the most surprising part is that small villages still exist between these towering cliffs. Some of them can only be reached by taking a ferry first, followed by a journey along winding mountain roads. People have lived here for hundreds of years, farming the land, catching fish, and spending their lives surrounded by some of the most breathtaking scenery on earth. Besides these, Norway is home to many other spectacular fjords, including Fjord, 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 and Fjord. And the best way to experience them is by taking a cruise. As the ship slowly glides through these deep blue valleys, the towering cliffs on both sides appear so immense that you can't help but feel incredibly small. One moment, a waterfall comes into view. The next, clouds drift down between the mountains. And then, out of nowhere, you spot a solitary house perched on the edge of a cliff, so remote that it's hard to believe anyone could actually live there. Perhaps that's why so many people consider Norway to be the most beautiful country in the world. Now friends, almost everyone has traveled by train at some point. But the journey we're about to take is considered one of the most beautiful train journeys in the world, the Flam Railway. As soon as the train leaves Flam station, the view outside the window begins to transform every few minutes. One moment you're looking at deep valleys, the next at snow-covered mountains, lush green meadows, or crystal clear lakes that reflect the landscape like glass. What's even more fascinating is that this railway starts at an elevation of just 2 meters above sea level and climbs to 866 meters in less than an hour. That's why it is considered one of the world's steepest standard gauge railways. During the journey, the train passes through more than 20 spiral tunnels. And the most incredible part is that most of these tunnels were carved by hand over 100 years ago. Just imagine, without modern machinery, workers cut their way through solid mountains to build this railway. But the most unforgettable stop on the route is the Kjosfossen waterfall. Standing nearly 225 meters tall, this waterfall crashes down with such tremendous force that its mist reaches the train waiting nearby. That's why the train stops here for a few minutes, giving passengers the chance to admire this incredible sight up close. Towering mountains, the thunderous roar of the waterfall, and tiny droplets of water drifting through the air. It feels nothing short of a miracle of nature. And as the train continues climbing higher, signs of human civilization begin to fade away. Small wooden houses, sheep grazing in the distance, and tiny villages hidden deep within the valleys come into view. At times, it even feels as though time itself has slowed down. If you want to experience what it feels like to travel through paradise while still on Earth, it's hard to imagine a better journey than the Flam Railway. Now, as we continue our journey farther north, we arrive at Norway's Lofoten Islands, a place that many consider to be the most beautiful archipelago on Earth. If someone showed you a picture of this place without telling you where it was, you'd probably never guess that it's located inside the Arctic Circle. Because when most people hear the word Arctic, they imagine endless snowfields and barren frozen landscapes. But the Lofoten Islands are nothing like that. Towering, razor-sharp mountains rise thousands of feet straight out of the sea, surrounded by crystal blue water. Along the shoreline sit tiny red wooden houses, backed by snow-covered peaks. It looks as if nature itself painted the perfect masterpiece. In fact, Lofoten isn't a single island. It's a group of islands connected by bridges and tunnels. The small fishing villages scattered across these islands are the true identity of this region. Rene, Hamnøy, and Nusfjord are considered among the most beautiful villages in Norway. For centuries, the people here have depended on the sea for their livelihood. Every winter, enormous schools of Arctic cod migrate to the waters around Lofoten. That's why this region is considered one of Norway's most important fishing areas. Even today, you'll find huge wooden drying racks lining the coast, covered with thousands of fish left to dry in the open air. It's a tradition that has continued for hundreds of years. But the most extraordinary thing about the Lofoten Islands isn't their Arctic mountains or picturesque fishing villages. It's the sky. Because Lofoten lies within the Arctic Circle, making it one of the few places on Earth where nature puts on incredible displays that seem almost impossible to believe the first time you see them. Every year, from late May to mid-July, there comes a time when the sun simply doesn't set. Even at midnight, the sky remains bright. The clock says it's 12 a.m., but outside, it looks more like 6 or 7 in the evening. This incredible phenomenon is known as the midnight sun. Just imagine sitting by the sea at 1 a.m., watching the sun still shining above the horizon. The mountains are bathed in golden light, the ocean sparkles, and the sky is painted in shades of orange and pink. While most of the world is fast asleep at that hour, life in northern Norway continues as if it was still daytime. One of the most fascinating places to experience the midnight sun is the village of Henningsvær in Lofoten. Nestled between the sea and towering mountains is a breathtaking football stadium. It wasn't built for a major professional league, it was built for the local community. But today, photographs of this stadium are famous around the world. During the summer, when daylight lasts even at midnight football matches are played here. But in this part of Norway, where the sun seems to forget to set during the summer, the story is completely different in winter. Between November and January, the sun doesn't rise above the horizon for weeks in many parts of Arctic Norway. This phenomenon is known as the polar night. Darkness, snow, and complete silence surround everything. And it is in this darkness that Norway's most spectacular natural show begins, the Northern Lights. Locals call them the Aurora Borealis. Scientists explain that when charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's magnetic field, brilliant green, blue, purple, and sometimes even red lights appear across the sky. But the truth is, while science can explain how they happen, it can't explain what they feel like. Because the first time you see the entire sky above you transform into flowing waves of green light, it feels as though an invisible artist is painting across the canvas of the night. Sometimes the lights drift gently through the sky, and at other times they suddenly begin dancing across the entire horizon. Every year, millions of tourists travel to Norway just to witness this incredible spectacle. Many of them stand in the snow for hours, waiting for that one magical moment when the sky suddenly comes alive. And the magic of the midnight sun and the northern lights isn't limited to the Lofoten Islands. Other destinations in northern Norway, including Tromsø, Alta, SVALBARD, and North Cape, are also famous around the world for these extraordinary natural phenomena. Every year, millions of visitors come here, hoping to witness either the sun shining at midnight or the mesmerizing aurora lights dancing across the sky. But Norway's beauty isn't limited to its skies. It is equally hidden within its mountains. Nestled among them is Trolltunga, a place you've probably seen on social media. The name Trolltunga means the troll's tongue, and the moment you see it for the first time, you'll understand why. It's a massive rock formation that juts out from the mountainside, appearing to float in midair. Beneath it lies a valley hundreds of meters deep, while endless mountains and lakes stretch across the horizon. Trolltunga is considered one of Norway's most famous and adventurous destinations. Reaching it is an adventure in itself. Visitors must complete a challenging 20 to 25 kilometer hike, which can take anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. Along the way, they pass snow-covered mountains, alpine lakes, and rugged rocky terrain. But the moment they step onto that dramatic rock ledge, every bit of exhaustion disappears. Because standing there feels as though you're above the clouds. A deep gorge lies beneath your feet, while Norway's breathtaking natural landscape unfolds before your eyes. Perhaps that's why Trolltunga has become one of the most photographed travel destinations in the world. Just like Trolltunga, another of Norway's most famous travel destinations is North Cape. Standing here, you can gaze out over the Arctic Ocean stretching endlessly toward the horizon. Towering sea cliff, powerful winds, and the vast, icy ocean create a truly unforgettable scene. The iconic Globe Monument at North Cape is considered one of the world's most famous photo spots. Norway is often ranked among the world's happiest, safest, and most peaceful countries. It consistently places near the top of both the Global Peace Index and the World Happiness Rankings. Norwegians are known for their simplicity, discipline, and strong respect for personal privacy. Most people here prefer spending time in nature, being with their families, and living a peaceful life. They also tend to avoid interfering in other people's personal matters. Friends, you'll be surprised to know that Norway has a 100% literacy rate. Because education is completely free. Healthcare is also free, and the average life expectancy here is more than 82 years. Norway is governed as a constitutional monarchy, which means the country still has a king, while the nation itself is run by a democratically elected government. Interestingly, Norway's royal family is known around the world for its simplicity. The king can often be seen among ordinary people without a large security entourage. That's one of the reasons Norway is considered one of the countries where people have the highest level of trust in their government and public institutions. Today, Norway is regarded as one of the wealthiest countries in the world. But its wealth isn't meant only for the present generation. In the 1960s, after vast reserves of oil and natural gas were discovered in the North Sea, Norway faced an important question. How should this wealth be used? Instead of spending it immediately, as many countries have done, Norway chose a different path. A large portion of the revenue from oil and gas was invested in the government pension fund Global, commonly known as the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Today that fund holds nearly $2 trillion. In other words, even if Norway stopped selling oil completely tomorrow, the future of its citizens would still remain financially secure. Norway's legal system and social policies are also considered quite unique. In some prisons, inmates are given opportunities to work, study, and live a life that closely resembles normal society. For example, some prisoners are allowed to leave the prison during the day to work and return in the evening. The country also has strict restrictions on the sale of alcohol on Sundays. And while we're talking about laws, did you know that Norway has an Arctic archipelago called SVALBARD, where burying the dead is prohibited? The reason is that the ground remains permanently frozen throughout the year, a condition known as permafrost. Because of this, buried bodies do not fully decompose. For that reason, many years ago, local authorities prohibited permanent burials on the islands. The frozen ground can preserve human remains for decades, and even viruses more than 100 years old have been found there. This Arctic archipelago is also home to more polar bears than people, and hidden within this frozen landscape is the global seed vault, where millions of crop seeds from around the world are safely stored so that in the event of a global catastrophe, humanity could restart agriculture once again. But after exploring so many breathtaking places, one question naturally comes to mind. What are the people like who live in this cold, mountainous country where life can often be challenging? It is said that Norwegians don't try to fight nature, they learn to live with it. There's a very popular Norwegian word, friluftsliv. It means life in the open air. That's why whenever they get time off, people here don't head to shopping malls. They head for the mountains, forests, and lakes. In the summer, it's hiking, fishing, and camping. In the winter, it's skiing and snow trekking. Here, outdoor life isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. You might be surprised to learn that children in Norway are introduced to nature from a very young age. Many schools regularly take students into the forest, where they don't just learn from books, they also learn how to understand the weather, set up camps, and live in harmony with nature. People here believe that life cannot be learned only inside a classroom. And if you think freezing temperatures sound intimidating, Norwegians would probably smile at that. Many people here enjoy swimming in icy water even when temperatures are below freezing. They believe it strengthens the body and brings peace of mind. Another fascinating Norwegian tradition is known as cabin culture. Millions of people who live in cities own small wooden cabins in the mountains or beside lakes. As soon as the holidays begin, families head there to spend time together. No offices, no traffic, no noise, just family, nature, and peace. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why Norway continues to rank among the happiest countries in the world. So friends, which country are you watching this video from? And if you had the opportunity, would you like to visit this paradise on earth called Norway, or would you even consider living there? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like and share the video to support us. And for more fascinating documentaries like this, subscribe to our channel and make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thank you.